Okay, let's unpack this. When we say Amazon, we are looking far beyond the brown boxes on your porch or the little ding your smart speaker makes.
Oh, way beyond.
We are looking at an American multinational technology conglomerate that has woven itself so deeply into modern life that it touches e-commerce, cloud computing, digital streaming, online advertising, and artificial intelligence all at once.
It truly is the definition of a big tech company, and the sheer scale it's just nothing short of staggering.
Right.
I mean, think about this. As of 2024, Amazon is the world's largest online retailer, the dominant smart speaker provider, and critically, it controls Amazon Web Services, or AWS.
The backbone of the modern cloud.
Exactly, the backbone of modern cloud computing. And by the numbers, it's the second largest company globally by revenue, sitting just behind Walmart. The workforce is it's enormous, 1.556 million employees globally as of 2024.
So our mission in this deep dive is to shortcut you, the learner, right to the core of this global giant. We're going to look at the strategic pivots that allowed it to achieve that title of the everything store, what the internal dynamics are, and what its enormous, often hidden portfolio of subsidiaries reveals about its truly global influence.
And we've assembled an incredibly detailed roadmap here. It's compiled from sources including a deep encyclopedia entry that covers everything from its 1994 founding to its corporate structure, its complex logistics network, and some very recent controversies up to late 2025.
So we aren't just listing products.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
We're tracing the technological and strategic shifts that turned a simple online bookstore into, well, a global infrastructure company.
Exactly. And to understand the empire, we have to start at the genesis, the garage, the blueprints, and the philosophy that demanded this relentless, aggressive growth. The company was officially founded on July 5, 1994, by Jeff Bezos in Bellevue, Washington. But here's a foundational piece of trivia that I think speaks volumes about the early mindset. It was originally named Cadabra.
Inc.
Right, like abracadabra.
But the name was quickly changed to Amazon in November 1994. The famous anecdote is that Bezos wanted a name that started with an A for early website listings, back when everything was alphabetical.
Right, an old search engine optimization trick.
But the name we don't talk about often enough is his alternative idea, the URL www.relentless.com.
It still works?
It still redirects right to the Amazon homepage today. And that one word, relentless, I think that just captures the corporate philosophy perfectly.
That's more than just a fun fact. It's a mission statement. And the initial location choice was far from arbitrary. Bezos relocated from a stable job in New York City all the way to the Seattle area. Why Seattle?
It was a dual strategy move. First, they needed talent. The Seattle area had a deep pool of technical expertise, thanks to the proximity of Microsoft and the University of Washington.
A built-in tech hub.
A built-in tech hub. And second, logistics mattered even for books. They needed to be close to physical infrastructure, specifically a major book distribution warehouse located down in Roseburg, Oregon. So they were thinking logistically and digitally from day one.
Combining talent access with the functional physical supply chain. That's smart.
Yeah.
They launched for public sales really quickly, July 16, 1995, starting solely as an online marketplace for books and sourcing those titles directly from wholesalers.
And that allowed them to offer far more variety than any physical bookstore could ever hope to.
Of course.
That quick, focused start allowed for rapid expansion once they went public in May of 1997. They used the IPO capital immediately to begin international operations, acquiring online booksellers in the UK and Germany to establish their first footprints abroad.
The domestic expansion was just breathtakingly quick. They began selling music and videos in 1998.
Right.
And then followed by a genuinely diverse range of products, video games, consumer electronics, toys, software. In 1999, in just 5 years, they'd achieved the audacious vision of the everything store.
And what's fascinating here is the reputation Amazon gained almost immediately. They weren't just seen as a retailer, they were a disruptor of entire industries.
How did they do that so fast?
Well, they accomplished this through two non-traditional moves. One, using technological innovation to streamline the entire process, and two, having this highly aggressive strategy of reinvesting nearly all of their profits back into capital expenditures.
So they weren't paying dividends?
No. They told shareholders, essentially, we will sacrifice any short-term profits for absolute long-term market dominance. And it worked.
And that reinvestment strategy led directly to the creation of what is arguably Amazon's most critical and profitable asset today, a business that wasn't even about selling physical products.
You're talking about AWS.
We are talking about the birth of the cloud giant Amazon Web Services.
The birth of the cloud giant is one of the most critical pivots in modern corporate history. It's huge. AWS launched in 2002, initially focused on offering APIs, application programming interfaces for web developers.
What was the logic there?
It stemmed from Amazon realizing they had built this massive, scalable internal computing power to run their own retail site, and they thought, well, we could monetize the excess capacity.
They started small, though. I remember they were offering ancillary services, like providing website popularity stats from the Alexa Web Information Service.
Exactly. But the major transformative shift came in 2006. That's when they launched the Simple Storage Service, or S3.
S3.
And that was followed in 2008 by Elastic Compute Cloud, or EC2.
Okay, so break that down for us. What does that actually mean?
This is the moment they stopped selling tools to developers and started selling the infrastructure itself. For you, the learner, think of S3 as renting Amazon's enormous, secure digital storage locker.
And EC2.
And think of EC2 as renting their super powerful digital calculator, the computing power. Companies could rent data storage and processing power on demand, scaling up or down instantly. That single pivot created Amazon's overwhelmingly dominant and incredibly profitable cloud computing business.
So AWS capitalized on Amazon's internal efficiency, but they applied a similar platform strategy to their external retail side with the marketplace model, right?
That's right. The launch of Fulfillment by Amazon, or FBA, in 2006 was another stroke of strategic genius. It allowed third-party sellers' competitors, essentially, to use Amazon's vast warehouse and logistics infrastructure for a fee.
This was ingenious because it meant Amazon didn't have to carry the inventory or assume the risk for every single product they sold.
Nope.
They just provided the platform, the customer base, and the logistics. They became the landlord.
And by 2008, sales generated by third-party sellers using this FBA model accounted for 40% of Amazon's total sales. This cemented the idea of Amazon as a platform owner, a toll collector, not just a storefront. They monetized scale and risk.
And this explains why, in 2021, Amazon finally surpassed Walmart to become the world's largest retailer outside of China. It's not just their sales, it's the sheer volume and the fees they collect for being the essential middleman for millions of other businesses. So let's turn our attention back to the core e-commerce engine, Amazon.com, which just continues to grow in its sheer breadth. The source details an extensive and sometimes truly bizarre list of products sold.
It's incredible.
Media, apparel, electronics, gourmet food, industrial and scientific supplies, and even specialized items like farm supplies. And they aren't just selling, they also offer specialized consulting services for businesses looking to optimize their sales on the platform.
And the global reach here is remarkable, but it's highly controlled. Amazon operates these country-specific websites, differentiated by top-level domains, and they support 24 different localized marketplaces worldwide.
So it's not one giant store.
No, it allows them to customize inventory, pricing, and logistics to local demand. They're essentially running 24 distinct ecosystems under one massive umbrella.
And those localized marketplaces are still expanding. We saw recent launches in major new markets, including South Africa in May 2024 and Ireland in March 2025.
That constant search for new frontiers, new consumer bases, it's part of that relentless growth mandate we talked about.
It is.
And while it's the 12th most visited website globally, the sales breakdown reveals a crucial dependence. If you look at the 2023 sales numbers, the U.S. still accounts for the overwhelming majority.
Not much.
A whopping 69.3% of sales. The next largest markets, Germany at 6.5%, the U.K. at 5.8%, and Japan at 4.8%, they're far, far behind. This tells us that U.S. consumer spending remains the engine driving the e-commerce side of the business.
And this overwhelming dependence on the U.S. consumer gives them immense leverage, and that leverage is really evident in their history of these high-stakes merchant partnerships. Let's look at how they manage partner dynamics, which, hasn't always been friendly.
Oh, not at all. These partnerships show Amazon's willingness to use its platform power aggressively, even if it results in costly litigation. I mean, take the exclusive agreement with Toys R Us, signed way back in 2000.
Right, they were supposed to be the exclusive toy seller.
The exclusive supplier of toys and baby products on Amazon. But the source details that by 2004, Toys R Us sued Amazon. Why? Because Amazon had knowingly allowed third-party sellers onto the platform in those so-called exclusive categories.
What was Amazon's defense?
They claimed there was a perceived lack of variety in the Toys R Us stock, but Toys R Us won that lawsuit in 2006. They got the right to end the agreement and secured $51 million in damages.
$51 million.
And that's a critical anecdote. It establishes a corporate precedent. Amazon is willing to pay tens of millions in damages if the strategic outcome, in this case, establishing its right to control variety and open the category to third-party fees, is worth the cost.
It's the cost of doing business.
It's the cost of doing business and gaining platform control.
And we see this leverage repeating in the media space. In 2011, Amazon struck a deal with DC Comics for the exclusive digital rights to major titles like Superman and Batman.
Right. And the consequence of that digital exclusivity was felt immediately. Major bookstores like Barnes & Noble pulled those physical DC titles from their shelves because Amazon was controlling the digital funnel. That's market leverage through media control.
But it's a delicate balance, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes they partner to solve their own internal issues.
They do. They partnered with Nike in 2017 to sell directly through Amazon, and in exchange, Amazon promised better policing of counterfeit goods.
Which was a huge problem for Nike. But that partnership was really short-lived. It proved unsuccessful in stopping the counterfeit flow, and Nike withdrew entirely in November 2019.
And that is a massive vulnerability. We also saw companies like IKEA and Birkenstock follow suit, citing similar frustrations over business practices and the counterfeiting problem. The ability to manage quality control across a massive open marketplace remains a struggle, especially for brands that are protective of their image.
Yet, they can also secure crucial partnerships. In 2018, they reached an agreement with Apple to sell selected products directly through Amazon and authorized resellers.
Which restricted who else could sell Apple items on the platform starting in January 2019. This ensures official channels and likely helps both companies manage the consumer experience for those high-value items.
Speaking of brand control, we have to touch on Amazon's own in-house private label products. They own 34 private label brands. We all know Amazon Basics for cables and batteries, or Presto for household goods.
Amazon Essentials for clothing.
Right. But here is the massive aha moment for you, the learner, that really challenges how we think about traditional retail.
This is a wild statistic. Despite having 34 distinct brands, these private labels only account for 0.15% of Amazon's global sales.
0.15%, that's minuscule. The average for other large retailers is, what, 18%?
Exactly.
So that's a huge strategic disparity. If the revenue is negligible, why bother with 34 brands? What does the source say is the real purpose of those private labels, if not to drive high-volume revenue?
The purpose is twofold: data collection and competitive pricing.
Yeah.
The data they gather from their private label sales, what sizes sell fastest, what features are most requested, what price points optimize conversion, that is invaluable.
And the pricing.
Second, they use those private label brands as pricing pressure against third-party sellers. If a third-party seller tries to dramatically raise the price of a generic item, Amazon can instantly introduce a private label alternative at a lower margin to keep prices low for the consumer.
So it maximizes platform traffic and crushes profit margins for competitors.
The goal is data and platform control, not necessarily profit from the brand itself.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about their physical retail footprint, which has been, well, less consistent.
That's putting it mildly.
They launched their first physical Amazon bookstore in Seattle in November 2015, expanding to 10 by 2017. And there's all this media speculation of plans for 300 to 400 stores nationally.
That proved wildly optimistic. It was really a failure to replicate their digital success in the traditional bookstore format. All the Amazon books and the related Amazon 4-star locations, which sold highly rated items from the website, were closed in 2022.
So they just gave up on it.
They decided specialized brick-and-mortar retail was not worth the capital and logistics. The focus shifted entirely to the most frequent, sticky purchase groceries.
Right. The new focus is now on Amazon Fresh physical grocery stores, which started opening in the US and UK in 2020. This is a critical distinction. They abandoned the experiential retail model and doubled down on the logistics-driven, frequent purchase model of groceries.
And outside of physical locations, we have to address the hardware ecosystem that has brought Amazon into the living room and, critically, into our data stream.
We all know the core product lines: the Kindle e-readers, the Echo devices powered by Alexa, Fire tablets, and Fire TV.
And these are not just products. They are gateways to the Amazon ecosystem and constant data collection points. They anchor consumers to Prime and other services.
And they are constantly innovating and testing new data frontiers. In September 2021, they launched Astro, their first household robot.
Right, powered by Alexa smart home technology. Astro is designed to patrol and monitor your home security, your pets, your family, sending notifications if it detects anything unusual. It's an extension of the Ring surveillance philosophy, but now it's mobile and integrated with conversational AI.
And their ambitions in healthcare are just massive. Following the 2018 acquisition of the online pharmacy PillPack, they launched a dedicated prescription drug delivery service in January 2023 called RxPass.
RxPass allows U.S. Amazon Prime members to pay a flat $5 monthly fee for access to 60 common medications.
$5 a month.
It's another example of leveraging the Prime membership structure into a highly profitable sector. The detail here that really stands out, though, is the fine print. It specifically excludes beneficiaries of government healthcare programs like Medicare and Medicaid. It's a clear move to target the commercially insured, more affluent customer base.
And this is where it gets really interesting as we dive into the organizational complexity. Amazon isn't one company. It's a technology conglomerate supported by over 100 subsidiaries that cover everything from shoe sales to self-driving cars and satellites.
And we have to begin with the financial and structural engine, the cloud computing behemoth. AWS is the profit center that fuels this entire machine. As of the fourth quarter of 2021, AWS held 33% of the global cloud infrastructure market share.
33%. That puts them significantly ahead of Microsoft Azure at 21% and Google Cloud, which is way down at 10%.
So AWS is the hidden utility of the internet. It powers massive portions of the modern web, and its massive profitability consistently offsets the often slim margins of the core retail business.
It gives them the financial firepower to reinvest aggressively elsewhere.
Exactly. And beyond infrastructure, Amazon is a major content producer. Their strategy is full vertical integration, owning the creation, the distribution, and the audience engagement.
Let's start with audio. Audible, acquired in 2008, is the world's largest producer and seller of downloadable audiobooks. That was preceded by their 2007 acquisition of Brilliance Audio.
And Brilliance Audio is more than just a publisher. They're credited with revolutionizing the audiobook market way back in the mid-1980s. They invented a technique to record twice as much content on the same cassette tape.
So by buying them, Amazon acquired not just content rights.
No, they acquired decades of expertise in audio production and compression technology. It was a tech acquisition.
That strategy extends fully to video and gaming, specifically Twitch, which they acquired in 2014 for nearly $1 billion.
$1 billion. And Twitch is the massive live streaming platform primarily focused on video gaming content. It was quickly described as the ESPN of esports, commanding 100 million monthly viewers as far back as 2015.
And their push into prestige cinematic content is driven by Amazon MGM Studios. This gained immense gravity with the acquisition of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, or MGM, in March 2022.
Oh, that was huge. That secured an immense library of classic and modern intellectual property. From James Bond to classic Hollywood archives, it instantly boosted the value of the Prime Video offering.
And they are constantly innovating on how they sell through media. Amazon Live, launched in 2019, is a video e-commerce live streaming platform.
Right, it integrates directly into the Amazon website, the application, and even Amazon Freevee and Prime Video.
So it's merging entertainment with shopping seamlessly.
Absolutely. By 2023, roughly 1 billion total viewers across the US and India watched Amazon Live. That just demonstrates the power of live, shoppable video content, which is a major trend in global e-commerce.
Let's shift to how they're expanding the knowledge and home ecosystem, cementing their footprint in consumer data collection, which is the ultimate commodity.
Right. So Goodreads, acquired in 2013, is a social cataloging website. Users track reading lists, share reviews, create discussion groups. This acquisition also involved merging an earlier 2008 purchase, Shelfari, into the Goodreads platform in 2016.
So they're centralizing the social aspect of reading.
Exactly. What you read, when you read it, who influences you, all of that is under the Amazon umbrella, giving them immense data on consumer tastes and trends that go way beyond just purchase history.
And their surveillance reach in the home is largely thanks to Ring, acquired in 2018 for $1 billion.
$1 billion. And Ring specializes in Wi-Fi, smart doorbells, and security cameras. It's a massive home automation company providing real-time data and video feed access, often partnering with local law enforcement.
Then there's the behemoth physical retail move, the 2017 acquisition of Whole Foods Market for $13.7 billion.
An astronomical price tag for a brick-and-mortar chain in 2017, which leads us to ask the strategic question, did they buy Whole Foods for the groceries or for the real estate and the affluent customer data that comes with those prime linkages?
And the source suggests it's the latter. By purchasing Whole Foods, Amazon significantly increased its market share in physical grocery retail, but more importantly, it acquired prime locations in high-income areas and a demographic already heavily invested in healthy living and quality products.
A perfect customer for prime services and new home hardware. It was a data acquisition wrapped in a grocery bag.
Exactly. And finally, a nod to future infrastructure disruption. They own Zoox.
Their self-driving car subsidiary.
Right, which is planning to start charging passengers for rides in Las Vegas in early 2026. It isn't just R&D. This is a clear path to commercial transport disruption, moving goods, or people using proprietary AI.
And their specialized technologies reach into the stratosphere with Kuiper Systems, a subsidiary planning a massive broadband satellite internet constellation involving 3,236 low Earth orbit satellites.
Wow.
And let's not forget Annapurna Labs, the Israel-based microelectronics company acquired in 2015, which focuses on developing chips that bolster AWS performance.
It's a profound strategic portfolio designed to control every single layer of commerce, computing, data, and connectivity.
From the chips that run the servers to the satellites in the sky and the cameras watching your front door, it's everywhere.
So to handle this massive multi-layered ecosystem, Amazon needs an operational machine that is just constantly optimizing and internalizing every step of the supply chain.
Let's look at the sheer scale of their logistics and transportation strategy.
Well, they have aggressively internalized their logistics network to challenge the incumbents like UPS and FedEx. In April 2021, Amazon reported it had increased its in-house delivery capacity by 50% in the preceding 12 months.
50% in 1 year.
In 1 year, this is a full-scale assault on traditional freight carriers.
And it's working. In 2020 in the United States, Amazon's directly contracted services handled 56% of last-mile deliveries, primarily in urban areas.
That's the critical thing for you, the consumer. They are no longer just a retailer. They are now managing the entire public infrastructure of delivery.
So who does the rest?
The rest of the volume was handled by USPS, 30%, mostly rural, and UPS, 14%. They are becoming their own freight superpower.
And they use a variety of services to accomplish this, right? That's right. You have Amazon Air, their dedicated cargo airline for bulk interfacility transport. Then there's Amazon Flex, which uses independent contractors with personal vehicles for last-mile delivery.
So that's for the really flexible stuff.
Exactly. Services like Prime Now and Fresh Groceries alongside standard headers.
And underpinning the reliable deliveries we all see every day is Amazon Logistics.
Right. This involves contracting with small businesses and delivery service partners who operate Amazon-branded vans and wear Amazon uniforms. This provides the company with a controlled, consistent, but largely outsourced, uniformed workforce for daily deliveries across multiple continents.
And of course, the futuristic element is Amazon Prime Air, their experimental drone delivery service for Prime subscribers in select cities.
And their relentless lobbying paid off here. It resulted in a critical certificate approval from the FAA in September 2020, allowing them to legally operate as an air carrier.
The supply chain itself is a marvel of efficiency. It began small in 1997 with just 2 fulfillment centers. Now, they operate countless facilities, fulfillment centers, sortation centers, delivery stations, many of which are partially automated using Amazon robotics systems.
And the human employees handle 5 basic tasks inside these facilities: unpacking, storing and recording location, picking, sorting and packing, and finally, shipping.
But computers play a huge role.
Oh, a crucial role. They record the exact location of every single item and map out optimized routes for pickers who carry these handheld computers that strictly monitor their progress rate. This focus on efficiency and measurement is absolutely ingrained in the culture.
And that focus brings us directly to the corporate philosophy, which was so heavily influenced by Jeff Bezos during his tenure. Even though he stepped down as CEO in July 2021, his annual shareholder letters are renowned.
They offer an invaluable window into the notoriously secretive company.
And the core philosophy is what they call customer obsession.
Right. Bezos mandated senior executives to field customer support queries for a time at Amazon call centers, forcing them back to the front lines. And he famously read many of the customer emails sent to his public address, often forwarding them to senior staff with just a simple question mark.
Just a question mark.
And that ensured the executive team remained hyper-focused on the user experience.
But the single most impactful internal directive, the one that paved the way for AWS's external success, was the mandate for a service-oriented architecture, or SOA.
This is one of those technical points that sounds dry but is absolutely crucial to understanding Amazon's strategic genius.
So what was it?
This was a mandate that all teams within Amazon must expose their data and functionality through externalizable service interfaces. It meant that every internal database, every piece of internal software, had to be engineered to function independently, communicating only through standard published APIs as if they were providing the service to a totally separate company.
Okay, so if the website team needed inventory data from the warehouse team, they couldn't just tap into the internal database.
No, they had to ask for it through an API, just like an external developer would.
Why force that internal rigidity? It sounds inefficient.
Because it turned internal inefficiency into massive external opportunity. This internal requirement forced teams to create these modular, robust services that could stand alone and be scaled infinitely. The outcome? They realized they could simply commercialize those highly robust internal tools.
They had built the infrastructure so diligently for themselves that they could simply sell it externally.
And that became AWS. The SOA mandate is the secret technical foundation of the cloud giant.
That structural efficiency and profitability is immediately reflected in the financials. Let's look at the 2024 financial snapshot. Amazon reported $637.9 billion in revenue and a net income of $59.25 billion for the year.
Huge numbers.
But the breakdown of those revenue streams is the real counterintuitive story here.
Absolutely critical. The 2023 breakdown shows that while retail is still the largest chunk, the underlying support systems are the high-margin winners. Online stores, the stuff in the brown boxes, accounted for 40.3% of sales. Third-party seller services, the FBA toll collecting model, was 24.4%.
So if I'm hearing that right, the actual stuff Amazon sells directly is only about 40% of sales.
Right.
But the shocker is the infrastructure. Look at AWS, the cloud business. It was 15.8% of revenue.
And that 15.8% number is misleadingly small for how profitable it is. AWS operates at a vastly higher profit margin than the retail side.
Much higher.
Meanwhile, advertising, an area often forgotten, contributed 8.2% of revenue. Subscription services, primarily Prime, added 7.0%. And physical stores, including Whole Foods, were the smallest chunk at 3.5%.
This breakdown clearly demonstrates that Amazon's deep dependence is on selling infrastructure with AWS, collecting fees with third-party services, and generating revenue from data via advertising. It's not just the low-margin product retail.
Not at all. The brown box is just the gateway to the infrastructure empire.
And regarding ownership, Jeff Bezos remains the largest owner with 9.04%, but institutional investors dominate the rest.
Including Vanguard at 7.96% and BlackRock at 4.93% as of late 2025. This means Amazon's strategic direction must always align with the massive capital interests of these global institutional players.
The scale and relentless expansion of Amazon have not come without significant controversy, and this section of our sources is perhaps the most difficult to process. It covers everything from labor disputes and aggressive competitive tactics to massive geopolitical contracts.
It's a lot. Let's start with the operational side, labor and workplace concerns. Amazon has faced heavy criticism globally for poor warehouse conditions and, statistically, a higher rate of serious injuries compared to other warehousing firms.
And this tension stems directly from the efficiency metrics we just discussed, right?
Mm-hmm.
The ones workers argue prioritize speed over safety.
Exactly, and their efforts to oppose unionization are active and relentless. This came to a head recently with a high-profile labor action when Amazon workers, led by the International Brotherhood of Teamsters Union, went on strike in at least 4 U.S. states on December 19, 2024.
So this is a persistent tension.
It's a persistent tension between Amazon's measured efficiency goals and worker advocacy efforts. And the pursuit of efficiency also drives large-scale job cuts. We saw major recent layoffs for cost-cutting purposes. Over 18,000 jobs cut in January 2023, primarily in consumer retail and HR.
18,000.
And most recently, they announced a further reduction of 14,000 corporate positions on October 28, 2025. These are massive numbers that reflect a company constantly optimizing its workforce structure.
Beyond labor, there are serious questions about their aggressive business practices. The internal history contains some dark anecdotes, such as the effort to pressure small book publishers that was known internally as the Gazelle Project.
This specific anecdote reveals the core philosophy of relentless competition. The name came directly from Jeff Bezos, who, according to reporting by Brad Stone, suggested that Amazon should approach these small publishers the way a cheetah would pursue a sickly gazelle.
Wow, so it's an analogy for targeting vulnerable, smaller competitors and pressuring them on pricing and terms until they comply.
That's the idea. And that philosophy translates into litigation. They've faced lawsuits for anti-competitive actions, including the FTC lawsuit in 2014 concerning price discrimination and promoting in-app purchases to children without parental consent.
And the counterfeit problem continues to undermine their third-party platform credibility.
It does. As we mentioned, frustrations over unchecked counterfeit goods led major companies like Nike, IKEA, and Birkenstock to stop selling directly through the platform. And Sky, the broadcast company, also accused Amazon in February 2025 of not doing enough to prevent the piracy of its sports rights via jailbroken Fire Sticks.
So content piracy is also a platform struggle.
It is.
The company's influence extends far beyond the marketplace and into Washington, D.C. through extensive lobbying.
Oh, extensively. Amazon is a massive spender on lobbying efforts, focusing intensely on Congress, the FCC, and the Federal Reserve on issues like sales taxes, privacy, and intellectual property. In 2019 alone, they spent $16.8 million and utilized a team of 104 lobbyists.
And a large focus of that lobbying has been on transportation innovation. We mentioned Prime Air.
Right. But Amazon heavily pushed for drone delivery approval, hiring lobbying firms and meeting repeatedly with FAA officials to explain their technical plans.
And that's how they gained that critical FAA certificate approval in September 2020. They actively shaped the regulatory environment to suit their futuristic delivery goals.
They did. And their broader political engagement is notable. During the second Trump administration, Amazon donated $1 million to the inaugural fund. Later, they became a corporate sponsor of the White House Easter egg roll in April 2025.
Okay.
And in October 2025, they were listed among the major donors funding the construction of the White House State Ballroom. These sponsorships show an investment in access and influence at the highest levels of government.
And finally, we need to address the most complex and geopolitical area of controversy: content, privacy, and AI scrutiny.
This is a big one. Project Nimbus is a prime example of Amazon's growing geopolitical involvement. This is a cloud computing contract shared with Google to provide AI, machine learning, and cloud services to Israel and its military.
And this contract has drawn intense, sustained criticism.
That's right. The sources cite criticism from shareholders and employees concerned about human rights abuses related to the contract. This criticism is current and has resulted in consequences. An employee was suspended in October 2025 after criticizing the contract internally. It shows the growing friction between corporate engagement in global military infrastructure and internal employee activism.
And content control has always been thorny for the company that controls the majority of digital book sales.
Always. There are controversies dating back years over remotely deleting Kindle content and censoring material. More recently, the company faced criticism for complying, under pressure from the Biden administration, to reduce the visibility of books critical of the COVID-19 vaccine.
Which highlights the difficult position of controlling a global publishing platform while also being subject to government pressure.
It does, and this is compounded by new AI-related problems creating chaos in the publishing ecosystem. The author Jane Friedman discovered 6 fraudulent AI-generated books using her name listed on both Amazon and Goodreads.
And the platforms resisted taking them down.
Initially, yes. They only removed these fraudulent titles after the author's complaints went viral on social media, which really highlights the platform's struggle to manage the flood of AI-generated fraud that is polluting their marketplace.
On the privacy front, there was a cautious win for privacy groups in January 2024.
A small one. After years of criticism, Ring, the Amazon subsidiary, finally halted its policy of allowing police to request user doorbell footage without a warrant. Privacy groups like the Electronic Frontier Foundation offered cautious praise for the policy change.
Cautious praise.
Right, acknowledging it was a step toward greater user control, but stressing that the massive collection of data remains the core issue.
And on a more mundane but highly impactful level, Amazon Prime vehicles have been heavily criticized in major cities like New York and Boston.
The source notes they are systematically blocking bike lanes and double parking, contributing significantly to traffic congestion and endangering other road users. When your business model relies on hundreds of thousands of daily deliveries, that logistical necessity becomes a material imposition on public infrastructure. Hashtag tag outro.
So if we sit back and look at the whole multi-tentacle picture, the key takeaway is this. Amazon's global influence isn't primarily about selling books or even just consumer goods anymore.
Not for a long time.
It was built on the dual pillars of relentless e-commerce expansion and foundational cloud services through AWS, all powered by an increasingly sophisticated and internalized in-house logistics network.
The evolution of Amazon really shows a company constantly shifting where it derives its value. It moved from simply selling products to selling infrastructure, AWS, and then masterfully leveraged both of those to sell advertising, subscriptions, and specialized services.
Right.
They demonstrate a profound ability to monetize the underlying mechanisms and platforms of the internet itself, controlling not just what you, the consumer, buy, but the cloud, the delivery systems, the home, the road with Zoox, and the sky with Kuiper.
And that monetization strategy continues to evolve, pushing the boundaries of data collection and integration. This brings us to our final provocative thought for you, the learner, to consider as you digest this enormous scope of influence.
In July 2025, Amazon announced plans to acquire a startup called Bee AI. Bee produces a wristband similar to a smartwatch equipped with AI and microphones. This device is capable of summarizing conversations and serving as a 247 note taker.
Okay, so given Amazon's extensive history of mass data collection, from product reviews and browsing habits to Ring cameras and smart speaker commands, how might this newest acquisition, a device literally transcribing your life 24/7, fundamentally change the dynamic between Amazon and you, the customer, in the age of generative AI?
What does it mean when the company selling you everything also holds the transcript of everything you say, and what implications might that have for the future of privacy?